Hi, welcome to the Grassfed Network. This is Joey Jones. I recently interviewed Steve Kenyon, rancher and educator. Steve specializes in teaching people about grazing and many other topics. I asked Steve what he does for grazing bales during the winter. And this is what he had to say.
One is I always keep a really good hot and a ground wire located by my water source. Okay, so if they're going to come up and crowd around the water source, somebody's going to bump those wires. Right, I have them fairly close, like right beside it, so that they respect the fence there. If it's really snapping them there, a really good fencer close to where I know they're going to be getting zapped, they're going to respect the one out in the field. They're not even going to look at it because they know it's hot, right? They're assuming it's hot. That ground comes in as an insulator in the wintertime. But to run two wires out in the field is a lot of work. So I kind of, get them trained well in the fall. They know electric fence is hot and they don't want to touch it. And then I make sure there's a really good one around the water bowl. And that keeps them trained on it. That's the first trick. Second trick, never give them a reason to reach under the fence. Never have feed spilt. Don't have the bales too close or the swath, the fence crossing a swath in a swath grazing field. Never give them a reason to reach underneath that temporary fence out in the field. And then they're, less likely to ever even test it. Third trick, never move in the dark. Obviously, you move them, they're going to blow through that next fence. Fourth trick would be always move when I do the leapfrog. So I've got two fences running down the field. When I move the cattle into the new set of bales or the new swaths or the new chaff bunches or whatever we're moving, always move that first fence to the new spot right then. Don't wait. Because what will happen is if you wait and you try and put that fence up when it's time to feed them, then when you're putting that fence up, it's going to take you 10, 15 minutes. The whole herd is hungry. They want to move, and they're standing against that temporary fence. Somebody's going to get pushed through it. Somebody's going to test it. Somebody's going to bump it and figure out it's not very hot.
Yep.
What you're doing there is just encouraging them to push that fence. So I always move that fence in advance, so there's always two fences up. When I come out to move them, they're hungry, I roll the fence, the first fence up right away and allow them into the new bales. So they're never standing looking across that fence, and then they're never going to test it. So those are my 4 little quick tips on trying to keep those cattle to respect the electric fence in the wintertime.
That's helpful. Now, I know guys that have started the practice of not putting in gates because, and they're not moving a lot of hot wire. They're using hot wire as their cross fencing, so they're not rotating with hot wire. They're just that in essence becomes a pseudo permanent fence, but yet there's no gates. So they're simply lifting the hot wire to move the cattle under the hot wire. I kind of have a problem with that, and the problem that I have with that is that teaches the cattle that at some points that the wire isn't hot.
Yeah, you're training them.
You are, and so I think you're going to create problems by doing that, as opposed to moving the fence or having a gate that they have to go through or something, because you've trained them in a way that's not a healthy training, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. I try and keep them away from the fence. Don't even let them test it. But always have that one that they're going to be bumping into that's going to have, it's a really short one. It's just along the watering area. I mean, I've already got a positive wire there. Usually it's actually 2 positive wires. It's a solid barbed wire. There's 2 strands of barbed wire on this fence, and my water site is right beside it. And for the winter, I make the bottom wire a ground. So I pounded in a ground rod and attached it. The top one is hot, and it's run with a pretty good fencer, and that's all it runs is really that fence. So when they bump into those 2 wires together, they get a good snap, even in the middle of winter. And that way they just respect that fence out in the field that much better. So yeah, don't train them to go through the fence. That's usually a management issue, not a cow issue. As many things are.
Yeah.
Well, interesting. Well, very good. Well, again, I sure appreciate your time, Steve. I've enjoyed visiting with you and talking with you. You've got some great tips and strategies to share with folks, and I appreciate your willingness to do so.
Good.
Okay, well, we'll keep in touch then, and middle of the month we'll probably talk again.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Take care, Steve.
You betcha. Thanks, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
Bye.
Bye. You have been listening to winter bale grazing tips from Steve Kenyon in an interview on the Grassfed Network. If you are interested in being a member of the network, you may visit us at grassfednetwork.com. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.